Hello everyone, and welcome to a new series I like to call Comparing History. In it, we're going to put legends of basketball against each other in a mirror and see where those comparisons take us. Are we trying to debate the age-old GOAT question? Not necessarily. I want this to be more of a discussion between us all on just the overall legend each guy has created for themselves. The pantheon of NBA history is a huge one. It really shouldn't be boiled down to a definitive, this guy is 100% better than the other. So with that being said, let's kick this off with our first duo, LeBron James and Michael Jordan. Does this already sound like a GOAT debate? I promise that's not what we're going for here. Trying to argue about the top dog between LeBron and MJ is like trying to argue between hot dogs and hamburgers. Both are must-haves in the world of backyard barbecues and the NBA. So let's walk through both players and just see if we come up with any conclusions. Starting with Jordan. At 6'6" and 216 pounds, MJ was a quick and powerful do-it-all shooting guard. You've seen the clips a million times by now. Mike making game winner after game winner, or him flying through the air over defenders to thunder in a dunk. His absolutely insane competitiveness drove Jordan's game all the way to the top again and again. If you need any proof, just go and watch The Last Dance. The man looked for any reason he could find to make himself feel like he needed to beat this guy in a game tonight. And one guy we can only wish he had gotten that feel to need to beat is LeBron James. We were actually only off by a single season in getting to see MJ and LBJ play against each other. When Jordan came back to play for the Wizards, he did his final retirement the season before James was drafted. Sure, that was a much different MJ at almost 40 years old, but the pictures of them playing together would have been legendary. So LeBron stands at 6'9" and 250 pounds. He's got 3 inches and 34 pounds on Jordan. Bron's bigger frame has allowed him to explode his way through anyone in his way. In his younger years, we'd see the young forward dash around the court and overpower the contact at the rim. That sounds similar to MJ, sure, but the stark difference in their games came with mentality. Jordan was a killer. He wanted to be the guy that put up the points when it mattered most. He was a smart player that came to the fair conclusion that he was the best player in the world, so he might as well be the one to shoot. On the other hand, LeBron's game doesn't scream, I want to be the clear number one option. Instead, James plays a much more logical and pass-first style of game. His assist averages have been 6 or above in all but one season, where he averaged 5.9. Michael, on the other hand, only accomplished that in 3 seasons. LeBron sees the court as a chessboard. He doesn't feel the instinct to be the one to need to checkmate. He'd happily move and check the king, and by doing so, set up his teammate for an easy finish. He's looking for the best basketball move, not the highlight. And it's kind of gotten him in trouble before. When James first joined the Miami Heat, they found themselves getting beat by a way less talented Dallas Mavericks team. And part of the problem was their new star forward being passive and passing to teammates. They needed LeBron in that series to act as the best scorer on the floor and rack up the points. A problem I'm not sure we ever really saw MJ have. During his rise, we saw Mike get stuffed by some other legends of the game. He first had to conquer the tail end of Larry Bird's reign, resulting in some amazing scoring performances, like his 63-point playoff performance. Still, to this day, the most points scored in a playoff game. After Bird, he had the wars in Detroit. The Bad Boy Pistons were down for basically hand-to-hand combat. They constantly pummeled and threw everything they had at Jordan, but there were never any really passive moments. He continued to charge directly at them until he broke through. And while we're talking about Bird and Thomas, we should go over the multiple rivalries both MJ and LeBron had, because both were dominant enough to experience many different players coming at them for a title. MJ had Bird, Thomas, and Ewing in the East, and then in the finals ran into guys like Karl Malone and Charles Barkley. Talk about a group of Hall of Famers. LeBron hasn't had it easy either, though. When he first got to the Cavs, Kobe and Tim Duncan were still at the top of their class, and then later on he'd have to fight against KG and Paul Pierce, Tim Duncan a couple of more times, and all these guys in today's game. Isn't that weird to think about? LeBron has battled against Kobe in his heyday, met a young KD in the finals, and has also had to go up against people like Giannis as he approaches 40? And not to mention the Steph Curry rivalry. Let me know in the comments if you see otherwise, but I don't know if MJ had a rivalry like LeBron does with Curry. At the time of this recording, Curry and LeBron have met in 4 playoff series, and Curry is up 3-1. Jordan never had anyone have such a dominant playoff record against him, but that's partially because of the amount of time LeBron has spent in the league versus Mike. The King is on his 20th season straight and averaging almost 30 a game. Meanwhile, Jordan had 13 years, if you want to scrub out the 2 Wizard years, which we, as a fan base, seem to have collectively agreed upon. Jordan retired from the Bulls at the age of 34. If LeBron did the same, we would have lost him 4 years ago. He never would have earned that bubble ring. He never would have passed Kareem for the most career points. And he'd never have been battling for championships for 2 full decades. So now we've talked about them and the players they've played against. But now, how about the players they played with? MJ had a dynamite cast around him in Chicago for those 6 championships. Scottie Pippen could have easily been a #1 option on some other team. And Dennis Rodman was a weird dude, but deadly on defense and on the boards. That, plus some steady role players, and Mike was off to the races most years. Then we look at LeBron, and it's honestly kinda tough to explain. It's felt like LeBron has had a lot of great teammates and good teams, but it's also been the case that his supporting cast has been below average. But even still, he's able to drag them to victory. My first, and also only because it's all you really need to hear, is the 2018 Cavs. That team was built for like 2013, it had so many old guys. Derrick Rose in a Cleveland jersey was strange, and everybody hated it. Go back and look at that playoff run to the finals. It was all LeBron, but he's also had guys like Wade, Kyrie, and Anthony Davis. La GM always seems to find his way to big guys, but after a couple of years, the asset pool ends up gutted, and the team needs to rebuild. I'm not really sure how much Jordan played in the front office of the Bulls, but there's no way it's been as much as LeBron. Again, you only need one example: Russell Westbrook in a Lakers jersey. It does feel like James is finally starting to step down from his basketball pedestal. And as he starts to look elsewhere in terms of a career, he's already got quite the business portfolio to focus on. He's got his own media company, investments in a lot of big companies, and his own signature shoe. If I had to guess, that's another world where he'll be taking notes and studying from MJ. Because Jordan, obviously, has the biggest shoe brand of any athlete in the world. He's also a part of multiple businesses and was the first guy to appear on screen alongside Bugs Bunny. Jordan has enough money that he's the owner of the Charlotte Hornets, and LeBron has already been vocal that if there's another expansion team somewhere like Las Vegas or Seattle, he wants in. Overall, these two are the best basketball players we've ever seen. They both have a slightly different mentality on the hardwood as they've paved the way to multiple championships. History is going to look back on both of them at the top for a long time. Who's next to join them? Steph? Giannis? Luka? It's going to take another multi-generational talent to stick around long enough to get up there. Thank you all for watching, and let me know what you think of this new series. What other legends do you want us to compare? And do you think there actually is a clear favorite between LeBron and MJ? Let's dig in down below in the comments. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.